Episode 313, if you could believe it. And this is episode number 10 of season 8. I am live here on Twitch, and I appreciate, I see that we've already gotten a resub. So Champ, thank you for 21 months. That's pretty amazing. I wanted to thank people for all the stuff, the support that they've done. Carly, has resubbed for 29 months, and she's here. And I know that, Tina has resubbed for a bunch of months as well. I am doing a sub goal for September. If we can hit that 20 sub goal, I'll update 3 emotes live on Twitch. It'll be the sort of the 3 standard animated emotes, and people have always really liked them, but I was going to update them into HD since it is season 8 and to celebrate something new. Scorebot has joined us. It's the end of the 3rd inning. The Astros are tied with the Orioles 1-1. So Scorebot is live in Twitch chat, giving us updates on the baseball games. We also have Green Bay beating the Falcons right now 17-9 in one Monday Night Football game. And then there's a second Monday Night Football game where the Steelers are up 7-3 in that one. I'm rooting for the Browns because fuck the Steelers. I guess I'll root for Green Bay just because I kind of feel bad for them, to some extent with, how things have all sort of shook out the last couple of years. But I don't feel strongly about either of those teams. But it's crazy that there's 2, Monday Night Football games in the same day. It's a rare thing, and it's going to happen 2 weeks in a row, which is a little bit strange. But I got a special guest here live, with the co-host chair with me tonight, DC's People's Champ. How are you doing tonight, Champ?
Well, all things considering, I'm doing pretty good. And I just wanted to add to what you said about your sub goal. This is the perfect month to do it because it's Twitch's annual September event where subs are up to 25% off. So you can go and sub for less than what you normally would, and it sticks with you if you do it on a recurring monthly basis. So if you want to help Robbie get that sub goal, now's the time to do it.
I appreciate that. Yeah. Also, if you do like a longer sub, like a 3-month sub, that discount that you have applies to all the months in the term. So you can get like a 3-month sub, basically for what would cost you normally 2. So like it's something to think about if you're thinking of a sub to somebody for a couple of months. And I appreciate it. At the end of the month, here's a little spoiler: the last podcast of the month, we're going to do maybe a subathon, sub goal, something like that, because gift subs actually are cheaper the last week of the month of September. They don't announce that on Twitch because I don't want people to wait, but that's at least how they've done it in previous years. So we'll see if they continue that again. But yeah, if people should join us in following Champ. And he does a great podcast. I was lurking just the other day and on the No Spots podcast, and he does a great job over there with Sith. And so much love to them. They're a big part of the True Radio Network. We're kind of the 2 pillars that have lasted now for as many years as we have. So it's fun to listen to wrestling and catch up with wrestling with Champ. You can always go to sportsothp.com, click on our podcast partners button, and the No Spots podcast is right there as well. But you definitely want to interact with Champ live on Twitch. It's a lot of fun, and Sith as well. All right, well, it's been an exciting week, and we're going to be joined by a bunch of guests in this first hour, and the Commanders have won both of the games. It was a crazy back and forth game in the Commanders one. I am going to go through the game flow just real quickly for anybody who might have missed the game and are hearing about it here for the first time. It was kind of a bit of a rough start to the game in the sense that, yeah, I mean, they were up 7-0, pretty early. Then we got a 44-yard field goal, but then a pass for 60 yards from Russell Wilson, to make it 14-3, and it just wasn't looking good. And then in the second quarter, they got another touchdown. It went all the way up to 21-3, and I was like, I don't think we're coming back in this. Champ will attest to the fact in the group chat I was kind of beside myself. I was like, well, I guess this experiment of like showing up day of to Denver to try to avoid getting the altitude sickness, I didn't know if it was going to be successful.
Yeah, I tend to see where you're coming from. They scored on their first three offensive possessions, including that 65-yard bomb to Mims Jr., who's a rookie who ended up with 117 yards on the day on only 2 catches, but a big day for him nonetheless. But yeah, I get where you're coming from, Robbie.
Yeah, but then Sam Howell showed resiliency, got the touchdown. They got the really important 2 point conversion, which we'll talk about why that was so important a little bit later. But they cut it down to 10, and then Joey Sly got a field goal to end the half, just like last week, that I thought would bring a lot of momentum into the third quarter. And sure enough, the defense shored up at halftime. Sam Howell passed to Terry McLaurin for a 30-yard touchdown.
Beauty.
Ties the game at 21. Beautiful play, and you could just see the momentum shifting. We were able to hold them on a pretty successful drive for the Broncos to a 31-yard field goal, which I thought was important to just hold them to a field goal there, and then. We were able to score a touchdown with Brian Robinson with the extra point to go up 4. And then we scored a touchdown. Brian Robinson again. This time was a 15-yard touchdown, a great running route to make it 35-24. We haven't scored 35 points in a very long time. They hold the other team to a field goal once again. But sure enough, Russell Wilson, Hail Mary, 50-yard touchdown, pretty much last play of the game, last ditch effort. They score it on this ridiculous play, and then
you're supposed to knock it down. That's what Tom Jackson and Chris Berman used to say on NFL Primetime. What do you do on a Hail Mary? You knock it down. You don't knock it up.
Yeah, so crazy. Bounces around, hits, they catch it, and then there's a chance for a 2 point conversion to tie the game. And there could have been pass interference on this. There wasn't anything called, which I kind of like because I don't feel like the game should be called on a penalty. Because if they do call it, then it's a 2 point conversion from like the 1 yard line, which is pretty much like a gimme run play at that point. So they gave a gift to us. They didn't call the pass interference, and we come away with a 2 point victory. But Champ, what are your thoughts? And we're also going to bring in Dugenet and get his take as well.
That 30-yard touchdown pass from Howell to McLaurin, there are at least 30% of quarterbacks who've been in the league 7+ years who don't make that throw. And Sam Howell's a second-year player in only his third ever start in the league, and he made an all-pro. And even the announcer said this. He made an all-pro throw, getting it at the access of the height of Terry McLaurin, where only Terry could go get it in a double team. He was double teamed. There were 2 defenders there, but he put it in a spot where only McLaurin could get it. McLaurin showing strong hands, coming down with it. Just that play right there definitely changed the tide of this ball game. And then when the defense got that, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about that play, by the way. I'm just going to put that out there. The defense then got their energy from that, and next thing you know, they went out there and did their thing. They ended up with 2 turnovers, an interception, and a fumble, and a fumble. So they ended up going out there and playing such good football. Even though the score doesn't reflect it, the defense was really a big part of this Washington team being able to walk away with the W to start off a season 2-0, which has been a rarity for this team over the past decade plus. We rarely start 2-0, and here we are with a second-year quarterback who only has had one previous start until this year. We're 2-0. Brian Robinson Jr. had a really good game with 2 rushing touchdowns. Scary Terry has finally come alive and things like that. And I think that the rest of the league, especially the NFC East, should be very concerned with the Washington Commanders. Yes, the Giants finally woke up after they were getting blown out by Arizona. I saw they came back, and I was like, wait, they actually came back? Which is funny because I picked them in our pick'em. But the NFC East currently, after 2 games, has a combined record of 7-1. When
Wow.
has that ever happened in the history of this division in the last decade plus? That they started off with only having one loss in the first 8 games of the season for the entire division. So right now it's a positive. It's looking positive, but it's tempered optimism because the schedule's about to get really difficult over the next 2 weeks with Buffalo and then Philly. It's about to get really this team's going to get tested in ways we can't even imagine with these next 2 weeks, having to face very dynamic offenses, very dynamic defenses, and having to be able to adjust and be able to work those in. So I can't wait to hear Dujanay's thoughts on the Denver game and what's upcoming. So why don't we bring him in and let's hear what he has to say. Where's my brother DJ at?
Nice. Yeah, so my Facebook has failed recording this whole thing. Luckily, I recorded in 3 different ways, and so it doesn't matter. But I am going to try to restart our Facebook Live right now. So just give me 1 second, and let me see if I can get this actually to run. I never double
Well,
checked it.
well, Robbie is doing that. Dujanay, how you doing today, my friend?
Man, I'm doing good. It's been quite the football season so far for the Commanders, and it's nice to see him win, and that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. All right, now we're live on Facebook. Sorry about that. To anybody that was waiting over there, Facebook has done a lot of questionable things within the last 24, especially the last 5 hours. So anyone who is looking for Carol's podcast earlier today, that's been rescheduled. So we'll have an updated date coming up soon on that one. So I'm sorry to anyone that was looking forward to that show. This show is now live on Facebook. I'll share it to a couple of groups in just a few minutes. We're joined live here by Champ and also by Dujanay. We're going to have some other guests joining us shortly. It's so great to see you, Dujanay. It is awesome to start the season 2-0. Speak to the similarities that I sort of felt maybe between these two games, but also I thought that this is a better team potentially that we beat, and we beat them, on the road, and to come away with a gritty victory at the end there. What are some of your thoughts overall?
It was a good game. They're a very good team. Russell Wilson and what Sean Payton likes to do. You know what to expect. I thought that Jack Del Rio was getting out coached in the first half. They definitely made some adjustments down within that first half because he was getting his butt paddled pretty bad. Really, it just boils down to big plays. You know what I mean? It just seemed as if the back half wasn't holding up their end of the bargain, whether it's by scheme or by design. I thought, I thought they could have taken Cody out for a little bit. He was getting worked with those crossing drag style routes, but it really. I've been saying it, and I wrote it in an article the first week. The resilience of this football team is something to see. In 2 weeks, last year's team probably would have folded up the tents. Just that simple with the 21, a 21-3 deficit there. Think they would have just folded it up. But this team keeps fighting, and they don't feel that they're ever out of it. You don't like getting off to those slow starts. And really, it's tailored a little bit because they did get in field goal range. On the first drive, had a nice drive going, wasn't able to, get it in the end zone. But, Joey Sly, who was accurate last week, not so accurate this week. So some of those things did not help their cause. You see this offensive line starting to grow a little bit and starting to gel. It's going to take them time. They're learning a new offense along with everybody else, including the quarterback. So, it is really, really cool to see this team fight. It's also nice to see second half adjustments and in-game adjustments, right? That's something that hasn't really been seen over the last couple of years. And now we have some competency and you're starting to see those adjustments being made on the fly.
BJ, real quick, I wanted to address the Joey Slye thing and his accuracy. That's what really puzzles me about his kicking performance this weekend, because he's in the thin air of Denver. We all know that even the average kicker can make a 65-yarder in that stadium.
Right.
Yet he was grossly inaccurate. I think one of those field goals, the snap was awful, and he had to readjust. That's why it caused it to shank to the right. But can you speak to what may have happened when it came to his accuracy in an arena, in a state, and in a city where he basically had the advantage in terms of distance?
Feeling the pressure, you know how kickers are. They're finicky, man. Like, you need to leave them alone. Like, burn some sage around them. I don't know. They're very finicky. And Joey has shown this before, his tendency of missing the most weird stuff. And he had the leg for a lot of those kicks. They just weren't there. So, I think Ron Rivera said they're going to address that. So we'll see what happens. But you can't afford to have him miss those type of field goals, especially when he's perfectly capable of doing so. That's points off the board that were definitely needed in a time where they were struggling a bit.
Indeed.
Yeah, I'm just so happy that they were able to make all the adjustments and come away with these 2 victories. These next 2 weeks are going to be really potentially very difficult for this team. I think I don't know. I'll ask Dujane your thoughts on Buffalo so far this season.
They show, Josh Allen is Josh Allen. Like, I don't know why every time he has a good game, everybody's like, oh, like he's learned from his mistakes. No, he hasn't. He's the same guy. It's the same thing, like acting like Daniel Jones isn't going to go Daniel Jones in a game. Like, he's going to turn the ball over. The question is, if he turns the ball over, are you going to make him pay for it? That's just the bottom line. It's not a matter if, it's a matter of when. And he just so happened last week he didn't make stupid decisions like he did in week 1. He's definitely there to be had. And for those jabronis that are coming down on number 99, throughout the game, number 99 being on the field is a huge, huge pawn in the whole game of chess. Like, his ability to be on the field with his quickness and strength, his ability to move laterally changes everything. That strip sack doesn't happen by Jamin Davis if Chase Young doesn't get penetration, spins inside, and force Russell Wilson to kick it out and run. That doesn't happen. He was helping to collapse the pocket. He didn't have a whole lot of numbers, but there are a lot of things he was doing that the numbers don't show that were allowing other guys like Daron Payne, especially in that second half, Daron Payne, John Allen, Montez Sweat to eat. And he is an extra guy that now, earlier without him on the field, I'll pick my poison. I'll double Sweat and see if Daron can beat my center in my interior. Or we'll chip block Allen, we'll double inside, and we'll make this guy Sweat come around the corner and see if he can get there before my guy can release the ball. Now, you pick your poison.
There was a lot of meeting at the quarterback, right?
Yes,
there was a lot of
no choice.
Yeah, for sure. And it was really nice to see the defense really working together as a team, and so excited for each other. And there's all this talk about how they're all so tight, off the field, and how they're brothers and they're friends and their closest friends. And you can see how excited they are as a unit to be able to come together and really just sort of dominate. And their second half adjustments have been phenomenal. But also on the offensive side, I got to give EB a lot of credit. We haven't seen an offensive coordinator make these kind of adjustments touchdowns in a long time. I love the screen passes when our offensive line was getting eaten up. I think we need to see more of that because it's even if our offensive line isn't doing that great, like if you can get behind it, then it doesn't matter, right? So it forces teams to have to pull back a little bit, and then a little less pressure on that offensive line, within the second half. So keeping them on their toes like that, and that really good running route, it wasn't. Honestly, I thought they was trying to run just to kill more time, and it ended up being a touchdown, which is, a bonus for us, right? But I thought it was a well-designed play because they kind of assumed it was going up the middle, and he sort of cut it out and around, and he made a really good, step, and he just was able to get past a lot of people, and it shows a lot of promise in our run game.
Well, you're seeing what a healthy Brian Robinson can do, and he's still getting better and growing and improving week to week. So him with I thought Gibson did a good job too. This Eric Bieniemy screen game is going to be the death of some defenses this year. I thought it was a great call especially when your running game wasn't really generating the yardage that you want on a consistent basis. Brian Robinson early in the game had a couple runs that converted some third downs and also put them in some third and shorts. So it really is a testament to who Eric Bieniemy is, but it's also a testament to this team and all that riding, all that getting onto them for every little thing in camp is what's showing up here in the games. You have to practice the way you want to play. And that's something that hasn't really been done. It's been too soft. They've been allowed to get away with too much. And attention to detail is something that Eric Bieniemy is definitely about. So you see that attention to detail being paid in practice, paying off in the games, especially when you talk about you're down 18, you're at an 18-point deficit, and it looks grim. That last 2 minutes, or I think it was maybe at about the 6-minute mark or thereafter, those two scores were critical. Really changed the game. Really changed the game there, kind of going into half down 10. And I thought, I think most people say the same thing. I thought the game changed when Jamin Davis got the strip sack. The momentum really started to change, and then when they started to capitalize off of that turnover, that really started to shift the momentum there. And it was great to see them come out in the second half and pick it up, especially on the defensive side where they really got the team behind the 8 ball, giving up those points as fast as they did. So
I'm glad you brought up. Oh, sorry, Robbie. Yeah. I didn't mean to step on. I'm glad you brought up defense. Has Emmanuel Forbes made you believe he was the right pick at 16 with that interception he had and his play so far in the first 2 games?
Yes. I mean, he's a rookie, and there's things that he's learning and trying to, that he hasn't seen before with certain guys. And, there's certain things they tried to take advantage of him early. But again, like I said before, your front seven is absolutely imperative to get immediate pressure, to take the pressure off your secondary. You can have I don't care. You can have 4 or 5 Deion Sanders back there. If your front seven isn't getting any pressure and not forcing the quarterback to get the ball out quickly, it doesn't even matter. He's going to eat you up. And it was in the early part of the game. The biggest problem is that people were out of position. With Russell Wilson, when you rush and collapse the pocket, the back half, the linebackers have to maintain very sound technique and great gap responsibility. If you don't, he has escape lanes then. And then when he escapes, he's not the guy that's going to pull it down and try to run 10 yards. He's looking for the broken play because now somebody's open. He just turned what should have been 3 or 4 seconds into 6 or 7 seconds. And we all know when you get to that point, somebody is open. And they have guys on that team that have wheels. So once they started collapsing the pocket and the linebackers were maintaining their proper technique and gap responsibility, the whole thing changed. And it really helped out the secondary because they weren't having to cover nearly as long. But you're going to see some mistakes from him. You know what I mean? It's just part of the growing process of a rookie. But make no mistake about it, he is that dude.
Yeah, I agree. What you got, Robbie?
But I was just realizing I was watching the wrong game. I had 2 live games going on, but I didn't realize that NFL Network was running one. I was like, I feel like I've seen this game already. And I was like, it's because I have. So I was not watching. It's confusing. There it is. It's the New Orleans one. So I wanted to run through a couple of scores real fast, and then we can get back into the sort of the finals. I was watching, I was like, I've seen this Green Bay game. So Cleveland Browns scored a touchdown and got a 2-point conversion. Carolina Panthers got a field goal to tie it with the Saints. And just a few minutes later, the Pittsburgh Steelers got a field goal and they trailed the Browns 10-11. But I think that
Cleveland might be in trouble because Nick Chubb got carted off with a knee injury and ruled out immediately.
Right, and then the New Orleans Saints touchdown and got an extra point just now. So now they lead the Panthers 13-6 in that game. So also White Sox lead the Nationals 6-0 in their game. So shout out to SportsBot for putting these in chat in real time for us. But then I thought I could still go through them. There is one game again on ESPN, and the other game is on ABC. I know it's confusing for people because usually they stack them and have one after the other, and now this year they're running 2 games simultaneously, both this week and next week. Dujay, I want to talk about that ending and how crazy it was, and the Hail Mary, the touchdown, and also please talk about this 2-point conversion. Should it have been a penalty? Should it not? Is it the right call? I know that the call might be different at different points in the game time-wise, but I want to get your thoughts on some of that.
Okay, so the 2-point conversion, the Hail Mary pass, if you look at the film, they were trying to bat it down. It went off of someone's helmet. And by the time Curl was behind it, but when it ricocheted off the helmet, it then went into 2 Broncos' hands. The second one being the catch. So it's not that they weren't trying to bat it down. It's just one of those freak things where his hands were up, but it went between his hands and hit him in the helmet. So it was a wacky ending to a very, very up and down kind of crazy game. And the 2-point conversion, look, I didn't think that he was there early. I thought it was a great play. They could have called, they weren't calling that before, so they're not going to call that then. And I know a lot of people, and sometimes that does happen, and that irritates the crap out of me, because if you're not going to do it before, then you shouldn't do it in the most critical moment when the game's on the line. So I don't think it was a bad call at all or a missed call. It was a great play. They were not able to catch the ball, and they took an L. Is what it is.
Yeah, it's just, it made my heart sink for a moment, right? Because it's just like, I can't believe they scored the touchdown after they played so well leading up to that. They held them to the field goal. I thought they were playing everything super smart. You knew the Hail Mary was coming. We had people in position. Like, it's just
a freak thing, man.
I mean, I guess that's why they call it a Hail Mary, right? People are throwing up a lot of prayers, on the Broncos, side, in that stadium, right? Like, everyone's hoping for something like that, and they get it.
I was on my podcast, literally on my podcast, and I saw that play, and I was just like, I was in shock. I was like, wait, I had to literally stop myself from because I was like, what just happened?
I just laughed. I just laughed. I'm like, what are the chances that pass goes off of someone's helmet into someone's hands for a touchdown? They
didn't draw it out that way. They don't draw it up that way. No.
Heck no.
Can you imagine if you had to draw up a double dunk off a helmet play like that?
Insane.
Yeah.
Like that you could do that 100 times and it wouldn't happen once.
Yeah, I'm about to say Rich Gannon was one of the most accurate quarterbacks in history. And I don't even think he could pull that off.
Heck no.
Yeah, so crazy. I want to give a shout out to the Nationals who just scored a run finally in their game. The Orioles also scored. They're up 3-1 over the Astros, which I always love to see. So yeah, lots of different sports going on here. Dujanay, before we let you go, let people know, I know you've been doing racing coverage and some other stuff. Let people know where they can find all of that and what you've been up to.
You can find my work for the Commanders at sportsjourney.com. Right now, I am not writing anything for the NHRA. We will be back hopefully soon. The Not Bland Show, if you have seen it on the Sports OTHP page, go there, like it, and subscribe on YouTube. We're going to be coming out soon. I just want everything to be right, so I'm not rushing anything, but the Not Bland Show will be back. It will be revamped, and it will be live. So we will be looking to do that on Mondays and Wednesdays tentatively, and then it will switch. So at some point. So
I got a quick question for you. The breakdown, is that in the past? Is this going to be your new thing?
Yes, the breakdown is over.
Right. So, but people can see in chat all the episodes of the breakdown. They're still linked there. And then when you have the new one up, I will update all of our information on our website, and so people can find all the latest stuff there. But if people want to check out what the previous stuff that he was doing, it was some really great work that you did with the breakdown. So I'm excited. I'm so excited for your former co-host and what she's been able to do.
She's been doing real good stuff. That was the reason for the change. She's so busy, and I wanted her to be able to not have to juggle schedules. She's been able to get there. She's working and doing all the Ravens coverage now, and doing that under her own umbrella. So
she's killing the Ravens coverage. I just want to put that out there. She's actually my go-to Ravens reporter right now, and she's who I'm following the closest. Breaking 71-yard touchdown by Pittsburgh here in their game. Pretty crazy run here, and just blew by them. And 71 yards. So Browns fans are probably besides themselves at this very moment. So that was 6:05 left in the second quarter. And also a final here, and the White Sox did defeat the Nationals 6-1. Extra point coming here to see. Oh, it's there's a flag there. So, anywho, Dujanay, thank you so much for joining us as always. It's been great to cover it. A lot of us predicted us to go 2-0, but it's really nice to see it actually happen. Because it'll be a rough game next week, I think, with the Bills. But I think now we have some momentum, and who knows? Only Sith had us winning this game. I'll give a shout out to Sith. Ahead of time. Do you feel differently now than you did a couple of weeks ago, or do you still think it'll be close? What are your thoughts?
Well, if you look at the Bills, first off, their running game, it's by committee. So I don't think any of those guys, they're capable, but they don't scare me. So really, it's a younger Russell Wilson, in the sense that the same rules apply. You collapse the pocket, your back end must do the right thing and not leave lanes for Josh Allen to run. I think the defense is more than capable of handling the wide receivers. It appears that Diggs and Allen aren't really on the same page still. So it's just a matter of, on offense, for Washington doing what they do best. The best counter for a defense that is quick up front is to hit them with those screens. So I think Washington has a very good game plan. They have a quarterback that can execute well. They have a plethora of weapons. I don't think this game is as tough as it's made out to be. I don't think it's any tougher than going to Denver at this moment. So if they come out and they execute, and if they can put up 35, you're going to have a shot. but I would say don't get off to a slow start. The only thing is, I believe this game is at home, so that's the only caveat where, yeah, sure, you could get off to a slow start and you might be okay being that you are at home, but I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, I totally agree. We need to come in and make a move pretty quickly there. So, thank you so much for your time as always. I really appreciate it, and we'll definitely try to have you back on next week if you're available. And it's been fun start to the season to start 2-0, and I look forward to your new show coming out soon, and definitely check out some of the writing. I linked to it in chat, and all of that information is always on our team SportsOTHP on sportsothp.com for all the latest links for Dujanay. Thank you so much, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, guys, have a great show.
Peace out, DJ.
All right. Sounds good. All right, so these games, these football games are pretty exciting, and we're going to talk about them for a second. I'm going to double check to make sure everything is good with our next guest. But Champ, what are some of your thoughts on, oh, by the way, the Steelers went for 2 and they didn't get it. So it's 11-16 in a very strange score. What are some of your thoughts on these Monday Night Football games?
It's really interesting to see Pittsburgh, the way they're bouncing back here. And Cleveland, that's a big loss, losing their running back, Nick Chubb. If he had to be carted off and immediately ruled out, it's got to be a really severe injury, most likely an ACL of some sort, for him to be down and immediately ruled out. Like, they didn't even waste any time. They said he's done for the night. So got to keep an eye on that. But hopefully Cleveland has a good option at their running back to help out with Deshaun Watson in that offense, because it's going to be a tough road to go. They showed some promise in that first week with Joe Burrow struggling, and they were able to take advantage of that. But now they're going up against the Pittsburgh Steelers team that clearly was pissed off from last week, and they're taking it out on Cleveland. Well, not by much, but they're still doing their best here. And just on a personal note, I've had Pittsburgh's defense on 2 of my fantasy teams, and they're sitting on the bench, and they started the game with a pick 6. So needless to say, I'm not happy, because who I started was the Philly defense, and they had a shootout this past week. So I'm just like kicking myself for not starting Pittsburgh instead of Philly. But that's neither here nor there. But that's where we are there. And then, of course, Green Bay, they're in the Jordan Love era now. Jordan Love, who's sat all this time behind Aaron Rodgers, and there were a lot of Green Bay fans that didn't believe in Jordan Love when Aaron Rodgers was there. But now that he's no longer there, they have to believe in Jordan Love now, and some of them still don't, even with the performance he had last week. He's trying to show them that this is his team now, and they need to believe in him and what he can do. So I think these first 2 games are going to be a litmus test for him to see where he's at, and then see where he can go from that point going forward.
Yeah, it's both these games are pretty exciting so far. Interesting to see where they're going. I thought the Browns were better than this, and so the Steelers are playing surprisingly well. Some good defense there on a good opportunity on first down for the Browns, but it is in Pittsburgh, and maybe I shouldn't have doubted them so much. We do have Hurt joining us right about now. He's going to be connecting through, so we'll bring him in just a second. And I'm so excited just to be able to cover this awesome win with you guys. And I don't know, we were excited going into the season, but I wasn't sure how obviously it was going to go. Often we win our first 3 games in the preseason, and that doesn't actually bode well for us. So the win, in some ways, 5 games in a row to start the season is impressive to me, and hopefully they can use that momentum against the Bills.
I think Hurt's ready.
All right, Hurt, you can come on in whenever you are ready. Join us on the camera and the mic. I
actually got to watch Hurt's vlog on his first game at FedEx in over a decade, and the whole preparation and everything like that. Man, I gotta give you some props, bro, for having to go through all that and then do all that walking and stuff like that. Big props, bro. Big props.
Yeah,
First of all, is this thing on? Can y'all hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
You're good.
So the first thing I had to do for anyone who saw that vlog is I had to give big rest in peace to my man Banks, who actually helped me across the log and fish my phone out of the creek behind FedEx Field on Sunday. And that was going to be the last time we were together. He passed on Friday, so I'm hurting right now.
Yeah, I saw that, man. Rest in peace. He was a good dude, man. Real good dude.
Wow. I didn't realize that was the last time you got to hang out with him. That puts the whole scene and everything in a very different life. Well, I'm happy you guys had that last experience together, you know, and to be able to, you know, do that. So
Me too, very much.
Yeah. I'm so sorry for your loss. There's a lot of horrible losses going around right now, and it's just it's a rough time. You know, I'm thankful that we have, you know, football and things like that to be a little bit of an escape from it. But RIP to him. Indeed, I got to meet him a couple of times. He seemed like a really good guy, and so yeah, that's rough. I didn't put two and two together until just now. So thank you for letting me know that. It was such a good win for that game, and so I am happy he got to see that. This game was also pretty crazy. What were some of your thoughts?
He didn't get to see it because he had to leave early.
Oh no!
That's the worst part. Was he had to leave early. I ended up staying because I had a feeling he was going to have to leave early. But he didn't leave after the go-ahead touchdown, so he got to see the go-ahead touchdown.
Okay.
Safely in the game. I stayed in the game. This game would have been even more sweetlier because a lot of our fans did the proverbial leaving early. Lots of fans left early. Lots of Fire Del Rio, Rivera's got to go. We bought EB in for this. Sam Howell's not the guy. My favorite one was, how many games do we have to lose to get one of the Deons? That's a quote. How many games do we have to lose to get one of the Deons? Me personally, I was like, yo, can we wait and see what happens? I know what you guys are thinking. We're not used to having a team that can make adjustments. But one thing we learned about Ron Rivera teams is they fight. They don't give up. They fight, they play all four quarters. And what we're learning about EB is he can construct an offense to a defense on the fly. And he made adjustments on offense. We've never seen that before. All we do is make adjustments on defense and hope that our same old offense can work. But he really got that. He got that screen pass going. And it worked every time. He didn't overuse it like Jay Gruden tried to. He used it very sparingly, but every time he used it, it hit. And each time it was like one or two steps or a broken tackle away from going all the way. And my favorite of all of the folks who jumped off the bridge early was trade Chase Young.
Yeah, there's a guy in one of my fantasy leagues who's salivating over the fact that Chase Young's going to end up a Steeler next year. And I'm like, you could go F yourself because it's not going to happen.
Yeah, and he might. I don't think he will. I think he has to understand. The problem with this defensive line is you can't double team everybody. You can't double team everybody. You can only double team one or two people in that line. They chose to double team Chase Young. So Deron Payne got to eat for free. It's like, oh, one-on-one? Excuse me, I'm going toward the quarterback. I'm going straight ahead because you can't stop me one-on-one and you can't stop me one-on-one. Oh, y'all want to double team me? Chase and Montez Sweat, they meet at the quarterback. Oh, y'all want to double team the edges? Oh, well, Jonathan Allen's coming up. You can't double team them all. You can't, and you can't beat them one-on-one. Everyone in your offensive line is not going to win a one-on-one battle. So it's going to be rough. People are going to have to bring in tight ends, bring in extra players, bring in whoever they got to bring in to cover these studs.
Yeah, for sure. I was talking to Dujanay about this a little bit earlier, but the fact they were all able to eat together, to connect at the quarterback, be able to, it has so many mismatches. They don't know who you got to double team a bunch of them, and you can't. So like, it helps us a lot. I love having this young rookie ball hawk behind that because at some point he's going to get frantic, and you got to see that interception. And
Robbie just read my mind because I was definitely going to ask her about Emmanuel Forbes Jr. and his thoughts on him. Like I asked Jujanea his thoughts on him because I like him. I like what he's doing so far.
I like him a lot. He is that. He is exactly what they said he was going to be, a ball hawk. He's around the ball. He's making plays. I need to rewatch the game, but there was a couple of drop interceptions because guys were already looking at the end zone. And there was a couple, like Forbes definitely dropped the ball on one because he knew he had a touchdown. That one that he fumbled, he was already thinking green. He was like, oh, this is fixed. And that's what happened with him. But I like him a lot.
And there's one time where two of our guys bumped into each other, and if one of them had just taken it, there would have been an interception too. So it really close. And we talked about it last week, talked about it already this week, but how they sort of tightened up in the second half, the adjustments on both the offensive and defensive side of the ball. I just thought were perfect. Like they were exactly what you need, and it gives me a lot of hope because I think this team could really develop. You were talking about the screens, and I think that those are going to be so key in how they sprinkle those in to sort of give a little relief to that offensive line because they can't just automatically rush. They have to think about it, just for a second, and that could end up being a huge difference for them. So,
absolutely.
So I'm going to get your thoughts on the next week because I know that your time is short tonight. But what are your thoughts on Buffalo? They're coming to Washington. You're going to the game, so I want to get your thoughts on that as well. And then hopefully next week I'll get your recap on that. But what are some of your thoughts going into it?
I am praying to everything that my black Sean Taylor jersey comes in time for that game. Like I am like, please get here. Please get here. That's an L. We're losing that game. That's just how I feel. I feel like we're losing that game. Buffalo is, for better or for worse, Jonathan Allen is just like every week we face a little stiffer competition. Even though Arizona showed they're not really exactly slouches, even though they lost they had the Giants face down. So I was like, okay, that makes me feel better about us beating them. Denver came out punching, but they got Russell Wilson. He's going to the Hall of Fame at some point. So yeah, that was a good win. But Josh Allen, they got the stout wide receiver. They got the running backs. They got the defense. They got the whole package. I think we're probably going to get routed. That's just my thoughts. If we can come away from that game 3-0, then we can start talking about things that we shouldn't be talking about. Then we can start talking about playoffs and a push and winning the division and all this other stuff. But Buffalo is going to be a stiff test. And I don't see it. I got us losing, respectfully.
Right. I mean, I think everyone had us losing except for Sith, and Sith had us winning but had us losing last week. So he still would have it be, a loss there, 2-1, through 3 weeks, but does have us beating Philadelphia, which I also think is an L. But I think that's what was so key about these first 2 wins, because we needed to come out of these first 4 games at 500. And now we can, I don't want to say lax about it. The rest is gravy, as they say, like if we can.
Yeah. So house money.
Right. Yeah. If you can steal one of these next 2 games, that's a huge win. And, so we have that opportunity now in front of us. But I think both of them will be very difficult, as you say.
If we're sitting at 3-1 week 4, the sky's the limit. Yeah. Regardless of whether we beat Buffalo, of course, the preference is to beat Philadelphia. The preference is to win an NFC game, division game. That's the preference.
Right. It's just so hard to go to Philadelphia and win. I just don't. I just we don't have a lot of good history there. So it's And they're a legit really good team. I've watched both of their first 2 games. I think they did falter at times, but teams will do that in the first 2 weeks. But I definitely think that they are right now a better team than we are. Whether or not we can somehow get better through the next game, because I was kind of talking about that week 1. Get better half by half, right? You're not going to be the Super Bowl champion week 1. You just got to keep on improving weekly, and if we can stay healthy and keep on improving, I think we could be a pretty successful team, this season. But you just got to have to take it half by half. You can't look too far ahead and stuff like that. I did love your vlog that you posted. I have linked to it in Twitch chat. Let people know where they can find you in the audio podcast and on people on Facebook and stuff like that. And I didn't know if you had any more scheduled vlogs or things that you're going to be posting soon.
No, with the events of this week, my vlog is on hold for right now, but it's life versus lymphedema. Life versus lymphedema. That's spelled LYMPHEDEMA. Like I'm still bad at the spelling part. You know what I'm saying? Like that's bad.
Well, also, if you want an easier URL, youtube.com/ and then @ life versus lymph. LYMPH. It's a little bit of a shorter name.
Okay, yeah, there we go.
And so I've linked that in chat, and I'm going to make a command for it. I also shared it. If you go back to last week,
this is the guy right here.
And then you can also post it. I'll post it on all the links when we post this live on all the different platforms. But definitely go check it out. It was I love the live thing. Maybe if you do go to the game this week, maybe record something, and think about it.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'll definitely be spinning the block on that, because that went over. It went over really well last time, to be able to cross over talking about the game and talking about, although this week I'm catching the bus this week, because obviously the guy I rode with last week is going to make it this week.
Right.
And the guy that I bummed the ride home with last week is actually going to the Penn State game instead. So, Crystal City Sports Club, a place I frequent, they have a shuttle service that goes from the bar to the game and then back to the bar after the game. So I'm probably going to be shit-faced when I get there, and when I get back.
So definitely document this, because even if no one else gets to see it, I hope to see it. It should be an entertaining show. I am so sorry for your loss. I don't think I can convey that enough to you. He seemed like a really good guy, and I'm sorry that you don't get to go with him to this game. And I do hope that you do find some joy in this game, though, and I hope that we shall.
Few things cure sadness like winning, so that would be awesome, or at least not getting blown out.
Yes, I would consider that a victory into itself. So I do hope that you have an okay week and enjoy the game. And I do thank you for joining us with especially all things considered. But I really appreciate your time as always. And people definitely go check out Hurt. He's for people who didn't check out last week's show, he is our first producer. He's the reason that we started to do this in the first place. Without him, getting CP3 on the network and then, taking a chance on me, being a co-host with him, this doesn't happen 8 years ago. And we've been able to grow into this brotherhood and to see this whole group of people continue. We miss Black GOP tremendously. And, we continue this, on in his legacy. And I'm so happy that we can still call this the True Radio Network. We still have all the True Radio Network branding on it. We still, I know that Champ does it as well. And I'm happy that we can continue the legacy of some of these people and do some of this. And you're an important person to me, because, without you, I wouldn't have ever done this. And I thank you for giving us this opportunity. And I'm so happy that we can have this friendship and be able to continue to have these conversations.
You guys took that ball and ran with it. Y'all were definitely Brian Robinson in the end zone. Right. Fun fact, Black GOP and Banks were both my daughter's godfathers.
Wow.
There that goes.
And I gotta give thanks to Hurt because of DMVF and the way he pushed me in promos to make me one of the best get talkers in backyard wrestling. It was because of Black GOP and Big Hurt. If it wasn't for those two, I would have sucked.
Dude, we still E-Fading, baby. We still out here. Look. PWR, I'm the Empowered Champion, baby. We out here.
I see.
Look, the E-Fed games now is different because the E-Fed game now, they have like actual belts that they mail out to you when you're holding a belt. It's crazy out here right now.
Oh my goodness. Y'all gonna make me come out of retirement almost.
Well, I'll send you an invite to PWR. Come check it out.
All right.
Yeah, for sure. And then I do want to thank you also, Hurt, for the fantasy league. It's a lot of fun every week to sort of just, mess around and make the picks. And so it's been a really cool right now. If people want to know, Champ is number one spot, followed by
the game, baby.
Followed by Hurt, and you're tied with my father-in-law, who shows that he's a really good pick'em, and he always has been. So it's kind of crazy. And then Dujanet is in fourth spot, and Sith is in fifth. So, True Radio Network is heavily represented in this crowd. And so it's fun to be able to do that weekly with you and to do those picks. So I appreciate it for all the joy and all the things that you've brought into my life, and my heart goes to you. And let me know if there's anything I can do for you, even offline.
Appreciate that. Look, I got a jet. I'm gonna catch y'all later on.
Yeah, have a good one.
All right, brother.
All right. Well, I so appreciate her giving us the time. I know that he's got work tonight, and so he's literally off to go to work right before it. So he does this right before his job, and he works nights. So I really appreciate him taking that time and being a part of this. And he was such a big part of that first, couple of seasons with us. And he's been a guest on our show almost in all 8 seasons of the podcast. And it's a rough one for a lot of people out here, but I am happy that we're able to do that. I want to give a quick little scoring